The Chinese New Year movie season for 2021 is upon us, and the first movie I'll be looking at could be the most exciting one of the lot. Directed by one of the 3 directors from The Sacrifice, Yang Lu, who has reunited 2 of his cast members from the 2017 action hit Brotherhood of Blades 2 in Jiayin and Yang Mi, this is a movie I've been waiting a whole year to see, as it was always planned for release for Chinese New Year 2021. Was it worth the wait? Hi, I'm the Arty Dance from Asian Film Fans, and welcome to this review of the Chinese sci-fi action movie Assassin in Red, unfortunately known worldwide by the really horrible title of A Writer's Odyssey. Guangning has spent the last 6 years searching for his kidnapped daughter. Never giving up, his quest has cost him both his high-paying job and his marriage. One day, as he corners the man responsible, he is whisked away by Tu Ling, a mysterious woman who works for a massive technology and medical corporation called Aladdin. Her boss, played by Hui Yu, has a very important job for him. He wants him to kill an author, a man who is currently writing a very exciting fantasy novel about a young man named Kong Wen, who is trying to kill a god called Red Mane. The reason he wants him dead? Every time the author writes a passage in his novel where Red Mane is injured, he feels the same pain in real life. Fearing that the author's plan to kill Red Mane will also result in his death, he plans to stop that before it happens, and Guangning is the perfect man to do it. I couldn't help but be awed in the cinema while watching this movie. The visual effects are top notch, certainly the best you've ever seen from China, which admittedly isn't a very long list of movies that only really includes The Wandering Earth and Sci-fi. Not having the ability to watch it in IMAX loses some of the impact of the IMAX specific scenes, which are obvious even on a normal screen when the film's matting disappears and a full frame image is presented. The colours really pop, with red being a particularly vivid standout. The colour red is the theme of the movie, with Red Mane's crimson soldiers being of particular note, but also the quite liberal display of blood. This is a pretty violent movie, and it did come with a strong 15+ rating here in Australia. Character-wise, the movie strikes the right balance between overpowered and underrepresented. We get the author and the 2 main characters in the fantasy world, Kong Wen and the young girl Tangerine, comprising of the weaker characters, while Guangning, Tu Ling and Black Talking Armor being the strong ones. The balance works well. Speaking of Black Talking Armor, what a fantastically original character. This talking eyeball acts as Kong Wen's armor, and the relationship building between the 2 of them was one of my favourite parts of the film. The only disappointing bit was the lack of backstory about who the armor was and what its purpose and goals were. There's also a very interesting piece of dialogue around the start of the film that refers to how corporates use people's data to spy on them. In this current political climate, and especially seeing as this movie is from China, I thought this was a rather brave piece of dialogue in the film. While the whole movie was mostly remarkable, there are a couple of elements that really stood out, and I'll try to discuss them without giving away any spoilers. First is that I liked the character of Guangning. I thought there was enough attention given to his backstory and motivations. He had a very clear goal and he always stuck to it, not wanting to deviate from his plan even when the situation changed. His goal was to be reunited with his daughter and get justice, and that always kept him grounded. There was one element of his character, and indeed a few other characters, that wasn't really explained, and that is how he is so deadly accurate when he throws projectiles. There was obviously something there that needed to be explained to the audience, but instead the filmmakers decided that it was just it. He had a superpower and it was throwing projectiles with deadly accuracy. Second was the fantasy world. There was enough details and backstory given to make it feel like a real place. The existence of Red Mane is explained, although not his deification. Again, another thing you're just supposed to accept without questioning it. And his presentation on screen was impressive. It could have gone the wrong way and looked overly fake and computer generated, but it doesn't. Thirdly, the chase sequence between Kong Wen and the Crimson Guard looks fantastic. It's exciting, very thrilling, and very immersive. Things get smashed and destroyed as the visual effects crew kick into overtime, making it look as realistic as they could, and I think they succeeded. Lastly, I enjoyed the final fight and the way it is done. Now I understand there may be some people who will possibly either not like it or be completely confused because of the way the tone shifts. But it really does fit into the moment of what is happening. I'd be keen to know if you enjoyed that final fight as well. But the movie does have some downsides, and most of them are to do with periphery characters. There are two henchmen we are introduced to around the start of the film, and then we see them towards the end, that also seem to have superpowers. One of them is explained, but the other isn't. He injects himself with some mysterious serum, and that's it, that's all we see, and I'm wondering if these elements suffered at the hands of censors. I've already covered a few other character elements that aren't covered as well as they could have been too, specifically an element with Redmayne and the black talking armour. But perhaps the most egregious error I found in this movie is unfortunately a bit of a spoiler, so I want to avoid talking too much detail about this. But if you've seen the movie, it specifically has to do with the motivation of the boss to use Guanming to kill the author, and how the author incorporates the character of Tangerine into the actual storyline. I feel there's a huge gap you aren't supposed to notice, and I'd like to be wrong about this, so I might need to watch the movie again to see if there's something that I missed. Fittingly, this movie was awarded the 001 number in the Golden Dragon approval notice at the start of the film, seemingly making this the first approved movie of 2021 by the Chinese government. And there really is a lot to like here. From the outstanding visual effects to the rich characters and detailed fantasy world. If you're someone who loves sci-fi fantasy action movies, then I'm pretty confident you're going to enjoy this. The first Chinese New Year movie of 2021 gets a thumbs up, and I'm looking forward to checking out the rest of them shortly. If you've seen this, what did you think? Thank you for watching this review. Please don't forget to press the like button and consider subscribing to support the channel.